It seems to me that a lot of guys are getting on that are super motivated, really excited, but maybe need a little help getting through the pileups a little bit. I've done a lot more phone operating lately, and I've noticed some things that I didn't notice 5 years ago. So maybe some of this will help. Maybe it won't. Hopefully it does. So you're asking, okay, guys, I know how to work DX. What do I need to? This is ridiculous. What am I doing? So anyway, this was last October at V47T. We were multi-single. We had 12,000 QSOs multi-single. Was pretty good for one transmitter. And we noticed just a lot of strange habits. So I thought I'd point those out. And then that's the phone side. And on the CW side, I was in Costa Rica again, and same thing. There's some things that maybe can help guys break the pie up a little bit. So everyone has the same goals. Let's make the most QSOs. Propagation from W7 can be super tough. I can tell you from the Caribbean, and you guys have been to PJ2, the W7 guys are weaker than everybody else. That's a fact. And being more efficient, the DX guys like that too. So why do we care what the DX guys going through? The pileups are probably a lot larger than you can hear at home. Now, you can hear a big pileup, but they're probably way bigger than you realize. The DX guys can be distracted by other things. The picture here is the setup I had in November. You can see there's a lot going on. When you're running two radios or you're multi-op, guys are talking to you, and there's a lot of distractions. If you're splitting directions, you got to know where to point, blah, 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 all that stuff. So you can see that it's just not a guy on a radio usually at these big stations. Also, not every DX up can run 400 an hour. You know, guys go down to have fun. So when the pileups get intense, you need to be able to be savvy enough to work them through the 6,000 Europeans that don't have any manners, which can be difficult. And everybody wants to get on the log, right? So a little efficiency is not going to hurt anybody. So I'm going to simplify it here. This is what you think a pileup sounds like. Everyone's like, yeah, I'm loud enough. I can break through. This is what it sounds like. Here's what it actually sounds like. This is my little feeble attempt, like I said. And this goes for phone and CW. Everybody calls at the same time. As soon as you ID, 10,000 guys call at once, and then they stop all at once. That's something that people don't really realize. There's always a dead zone in the middle there. And that's kind of the sweet spot if the pileup's too big. And on CW, everybody's zero beats, which is like the biggest pain in the butt of all time. Everyone's on the same frequency. If you're pointing and clicking on skimmer spots, you're going to be on the exact same frequency. N1MM does kind of a automatic variably, I don't know, you can set the variable on where it's going to offset. I don't think it does as good a job as people realize, and maybe they set their offset too narrow. But that's a huge problem because it sounds like that graphic on the left, only there's way more guys calling. The other issue is poor audio. If you overdrive in, you can't copy it. Hard accents, of course. Poor phonetics or no phonetics, nothing worse than, KJ7 JFA calling and you don't know what the heck he said because he just said KJ7 JFA. Apologies if that's someone in the room. I don't know that call. So clear phonetics are super important. Or maybe you can't hear the DX through the pileup, so you keep calling even though you don't hear them well enough. That makes things worse too. And a little controversy here. You are not loud enough to blow over the pileup. I promise that. Even if you're loud enough to blow over it, you're still not loud enough to make it easy to copy. There are exceptions to that, but for the most part, nobody's loud enough to get through that 50/9 pileup from the Caribbean. That I do promise. So I've got a really cool example here. ZF2MM was K9PG several years ago. He won ARRL phone, I don't know, several years in a row. He had a 460 hour, but he didn't record it. This one is from his side. It's a 430 hour. By anybody's measure, that's a great hour. Let me preface this by saying things that he did right. He doesn't have any wasted words. He doesn't say please copy ever. He doesn't say the calls back with phonetics. He just keeps it short because the guy calling knows his call. He IDs after every QSO or every second or third QSO. Also important, he controls the pileup with his rhythm. Being predictable is so much more important than people realize for the guys calling, because even if you get covered by QRM, you kind of know the cadence, and that's huge. He gets a full call, so he doesn't call a partial call, even though in this clip he does. But for the most part, you get a full call. He's quick and he's clear. He's not too fast. And most importantly, he is super loud. That station was smoking loud. So and you can hear what the guys on the other side are doing, right? They're saying their call once phonetically. They're not calling on top of others. And they're saying the report quickly too, which is just as important because if you slow guys down, it doesn't make it any better. So I'm going to try this clip.
Roger, 59 Meadowwood. Fox 2 Mike Mike. W9OP, Fennec. 59 Wisconsin. ZF2 Mike Mike. 59 Mike, Celtic Kilo. N8MDK, Fennec. 59 Illinois. Fox 2 Mike Mike. Kilo Norway 5 again, Fennec. Kilowatt Norway 5, Zulu. Stand 5Z, Fennec. Yeah, 59 Texas. Fox 2 Mike Mike. Who's the one? Kilo Delta 1, Echo Alpha. KD1EA, Fennec. 59 ZF2 Mike Mike.
So things on CW are different. Point and clicking on a DX cluster spot will give anybody heartburn on the DX side. Use your XIT. I can't stress that enough. Point and click all you want. Turn your XIT offset. I mean, you can even go wild and go 300 hertz if you want. Like I said, N1MM can automatically adjust that. Most guys probably aren't aggressive enough with it. This picture on the right is me at about 3 a.m. the second day in November. This is what happens when the DX op, if everyone points and clicks, 2 pileups at the same time of 0 beat is enough to just drive anybody insane. So you will get through the pileup much faster if you just tune off, and you probably can't tune. If you can hear the guy, he can hear you in your passband. That's kind of a secret that's not a secret that can really help you get in the log faster. So it kind of looks like this and sounds like this. You know, the whole pileup's there, and then the CW op's going to hear PJ2T's on the left-hand side. I'm going to get him really fast. Use the XIT. The DX guys will appreciate it, I promise. And you'll notice a difference breaking through pileups. And this doesn't take into account split pileups. That's a whole different deal. Someone that's a DXer could probably do better at that than me. So things to remember from both sides. Always get full calls from DXer. If you're running from the States, you're running sweepstakes, whatever, same thing. If the pileup stops, just wait. Someone will call you in the clear, promise. If I'm running a pileup and I don't get a full call the first time, I'll wait a half a heartbeat, and then someone will dump their call in there and they'll get in the log before everybody else. Very important skill. No wasted words, clearly and quickly. Keep the rhythm going, and that's good for any contest or anything. From you guys calling DX, clearly and phonetically, I can't stress that enough. One thing that's kind of cropped up that kind of spurred this conversation was we'd be running on 14175.35 and everybody would call us off frequency. And it was just kind of weird to me. And I noticed that a lot of guys were calling on the 0.00. I'm sure nobody here has ever seen that. It's kind of strange to me, maybe not. But you don't have to be on the 0.00. In fact, it's better if you're not. But that's something that's kind of cropped up, which is kind of strange. Guys were even telling us we were off frequency. Not sure how I can be off frequency from my frequency, but I guess I was. And then of course, make sure you have the correct call. Figure out the DX op style and their call sign before you call. Nothing worse than a dupe to make a guy on the other end kind of grumpy. That was quick.